In the ancient Palazzo dei Visacci, in the heart of Florence, Gianni Cacciarini, one of the young masters of Italian painting, lives and works alone. Cacciarini began his career as an architect. Being a first-class engraver, he quickly made his mark in the graphic arts. With loving, highly detailed perfection, he transformed gnarled vines, trees, and the remains of industrial archaeology. These solitary, cold, yet impassioned explorations in the graphic arts soon gave birth to a painter. Cacciarini's father and his grandfather, both craftsmen, lived in the house which he has restored to its 18th century elegance. Here the atmosphere is at the same time graceful and austere, surly and refined. All over the house there is a vague air of melancholic reflection. Here we have Cacciarini's favorite subjects, his useless machines. Electric fans, boilers, old calculators, radios, coffee makers, they are all selected and depicted in isolation from their normal context of use. Curtly ironic and agonizingly pathetic symbols. Made shiny or becoming lusterless through time, these tubular, round or curved shapes, rusty and distant or homely and familiar, are the scattered grammatical structure of a new discourse on reality, which this artist has been carrying on for years with an obsessive repetitiveness, similar to that of Giorgio Morandi, the great Italian modern artist. Gianni Cacciarini does not aim to astonish with the virtuosity of the striking realism of his painting. Quite the opposite. His aim is to salvage objects from our rapacious contemporary consumers' culture, to transport them into the sphere of immobile permanence. Their apparent uselessness, once their real function has ceased to exist, gives out an immobile, timeless cry. The mysterious glory of objects is fulfilled in the refinement and perfection of painting. With the aid of a perfectly assimilated appeal to the old masters, from Zurbaran to Basquenis, from Caravaggio to Vermeer, Cacciarini paints machines which are not the components of still life, but figures in a reality that no longer puts its trust in mechanical progress. Rather, it makes use of the space provided by the canvas to depict time. The deep meaning and the rationalized passion of this artist's work stands at the crossroads between the superfluous and permanence, between life and immobility, between the end of a cycle and a surviving form. I do not paint to represent, but to understand, says Cacciarini. He adds, I paint a host of details precisely because I want to make an object more abstract. And he admits, I'm a very slow worker. I can take up to 3 weeks to complete a painting. There are few painters who, like this Tuscan artist, are able to conjugate the time of things and the space of a painting with such curt, fearless severity.
Yes, I like objects that have already experienced a life of their own, which can tell their own story. I take possession of them so that I can give them a new life. By reusing them, I give them a new dignity. They become part of a new context. When they are together with other objects, they feel that they are being reborn since they're being put to a different use to the one they were meant for. For example, a typewriter is no longer a typewriter but becomes part of an architectural composition. And the same thing happens to an electric fan and so on. So they get the chance of enjoying a new lease of life.
Assembling objects for a painting is the most mysterious stage in my work. I must be alone. I try out different arrangements over and over again. The background is of little importance. It is often completely lacking. What is of fundamental importance for a successful painting is the arrangement of the objects. This is where the object's mysterious interrelationship, their positioning in space, begins. The magical message of his painting is never brought about by chance. As with the medieval Tuscan panel painters, the mixing of colors is the work of the wisdom of a magician. The ability of a craftsman is behind the correct choice of color, which will become light and painting.
An artist cannot depict movement, even though he has a visual experience of it. He can only render it indirectly. However, he is greatly attracted to movement for several reasons. Movement is life. Being a witness to life and the illusion of life was, and still is, the aim of art. In order to narrate facts and events, it's necessary to change their place in the course of time. Thus, the artist finds himself facing unsolvable problems. But facing unsolvable problems is the artist's destiny.
We are struck by this highly detailed, meticulous painting because nowadays we only cast quick glances at things. We no longer really look at anything. We no longer look at paintings or the objects in our lives. Cacciarini's painting is an invitation to observe objects up to the point of identifying ourselves with them.
You were born.
Cacciarini began as an engraver of the remains of industrial archaeology and trees. He then passed on to paint useless machines. He has now begun to show interest in human figures and portraits. This is a new stage in his career that will provide new insights. What is almost certain, however, is that the real protagonist of his art will still be time. Time, caught up in the agonizing immobility that characterizes his canvases.